The long-awaited Spawn reboot is finally out of development hell and moving into active production, a huge milestone for a project that's been stuck in limbo for years. Jason Blum, the mastermind behind Blumhouse, confirmed the news, and fans who've been waiting forever are now buzzing with excitement. The film has an official title now, King Spawn, hinting at a possible shift in both tone and narrative scope. This isn't just going to be another dark superhero story. It sounds like they're diving deep into Al Simmons' personal struggles while expanding on the twisted mythological side of the Spawn universe. The screenplay is in the hands of an all-star trio, Matt Mixon, Malcolm Spellman, and Scott Silver. Mixon and Spellman are known for their work on The Falcon and The Winter Soldier, while Silver co-wrote the Oscar-nominated Joker with Todd Phillips. Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn, couldn't be happier with how the script is turning out. He said the writers stayed true to his vision, and his only demand was that the story be badass and terrifying. McFarlane's promising that this movie won't play it safe. It's going full-on R-rated and embracing the horror roots of the character. McFarlane himself is stepping in as an executive producer. When asked about the reboot's progress, he gave a hopeful update but admitted he's not spilling any more details until things are 100% locked in. And honestly, that makes sense. The project's been through so many ups and downs that holding off on teasers until everything's set is probably the smart move. But that hasn't stopped fans from bombarding McFarlane with questions, especially since he's been expanding the Spawn comics universe the whole time. If you remember, McFarlane was also a producer on the original 1997 Spawn film, and he's been grinding on this reboot for years. Blumhouse came on board in 2017, and McFarlane was set to direct it himself. Then, in 2018, Jamie Foxx was announced as Al Simmons, and in early 2024, McFarlane confirmed that Marvel alum Jeremy Renner would be playing Detective Twitch. But here's the catch: Jamie Foxx's jam-packed schedule is a major hurdle. With his commitment to a Mike Tyson biopic series, there's a chance King Spawn could face even more delays. As a hardcore fan of Spawn, it's frustrating to see how long this has taken, especially now when superhero fatigue is setting in. It feels like they might have missed the perfect window to drop this film, but maybe, just maybe, the lack of updates will be a blessing in disguise. Sometimes less noise builds more hype. If they take their time to perfect this, the wait might actually be worth it. McFarlane's also optimistic about the success of Deadpool and Wolverine paving the way for King Spawn. With R-rated superhero films doing big numbers at the box office, he's confident that Spawn could ride that wave. While the reboot was initially expected to premiere in 2025, that seems unlikely without a solid production start date. Todd's been fighting for nearly a decade to bring this reboot to life, and one of the biggest roadblocks has been finding the right director. He originally wanted to direct it himself, but later admitted that studios probably wouldn't trust a first-time director with such a massive project. McFarlane's first concept was wild. Spawn was more of a ghost, an urban legend whispered about in the shadows, hunted by the police. He made it clear that this wouldn't be some watered-down Marvel or DC knockoff, but his original script has already been rewritten. Jason Blum mentioned that he's read the new draft, and he's really happy with it. Now the next step is finding a director. Personally, I think Robert Eggers would be perfect for King Spawn, but he's busy working on a werewolf horror film. Still, considering Eggers' unique visual style and his obsession with authenticity, it might be worth waiting for him to take the reins. We've been waiting nearly 30 years for this reboot. Why rush now and risk a flop? The real question is whether Blumhouse is ready to take that leap. Movies like Joker and Logan proved that comic book adaptations can break the mold and still crush it at the box office, but it's a risky path. Will King Spawn deliver a groundbreaking cinematic experience, or will it fall into the same trap as other ambitious reboots? Only time will tell. But the title change from Spawn to King Spawn has already stirred up a ton of fan speculation. The King Spawn comic series represents the peak of Al Simmons' journey, diving deep into his destiny as Hell's ruler and his role in the cosmic battle between heaven and hell. This storyline lets McFarlane weave together different arcs into one massive epic, where Al has to decide which side to take in the ultimate fight between good and evil from a position of real power. The film's concept has evolved a lot over the years. At one point, it was supposed to be a low-budget horror flick about New York Police Department officers hunting down a ghostly Spawn, but now, Blumhouse is throwing more money into it, which means we might get some epic action sequences. Most of the story will still unfold in New York, sticking to those classic dark, gritty corners of the city. It's a large-scale project, but not a mega blockbuster, and it's set to deliver a clear moral conflict for Spawn, not just your typical black and white superhero choices. By blending horror, fantasy, and even a bit of political intrigue, King Spawn is shaping up to be a mature, compelling continuation of the character's legacy. That depth makes King Spawn the perfect choice for an adaptation, though it looks like they won't stick strictly to Simmons' classic origin story. Instead, they might use flashbacks to show how Al became Hell's mercenary. Neither McFarlane nor Blum has confirmed if the film will follow the King Spawn storyline storyline exactly, but the title hints that this darker, mythologically rich arc will be the foundation. Blum has teased that the project will stand out from other comic book movies with its bold, original approach. The horror elements and guaranteed R rating signal a sharp departure from the usual superhero formula, leaning into something raw and unfiltered. Blumhouse plans to start production this year, and since the script is finished, filming could kick off by the end of the year. But don't expect to see King Spawn in theaters before 2026, especially with the studio focusing on a Five Nights at Freddy's sequel this year. Stay tuned.